Lando Norris is easily one of, if not the most exciting young talent on the Formula One grid. But Zak Brown's still not entirely happy with him. In fact, the McLaren boss is actually frustrated with his star driver. Yep, the boy wonder is not so perfect after all. Well, at least off the racetrack, cause on it, he's still insanely quick. Though even the flaws he has aren't that big. I mean, not enough to make Brown hate him or anything. So what's up with the guy? Does he break his car seat every time he gets in or something? Nope. It's actually silly, because he's just late to work. Yeah, the McLaren boss aired his frustrations during an interview with GQ magazine, saying that Norris tends to miss deadlines and be late by 5 minutes more often than not. For instance, if the team is leaving at 8, then he'll arrive at 8:07. Now, you might think that this isn't a big deal at all. Like, it's just a few minutes, right? How bad could it be? But you've got to remember that this is Formula One we're talking about, the pinnacle of motorsport where every second counts, and being efficient can really make a difference. Not to mention, Lando's going against 19 of the best drivers in the entire world. And when you've got that sort of competition, then you can't afford to slip up at all. Then again, the positives definitely outweigh this very minor negative. For instance, the 23-year-old is super honest and owns up to his mistakes, which just shows that he's ready to grow and improve with the team. As a matter of fact, despite this minor inconvenience, the McLaren boss is still head over heels for the driver, so much so that he thinks Lando can actually become a world champion. Yeah, I know, that's a big claim, but if you look at where the Brit's been in terms of pace lately, you can't blame him for thinking that either. I mean, beating his teammate is one thing, doing it so emphatically? Now that's almost unheard of. Plus, Brown just thinks McLaren gets the best out of the young talent. Like, not only is he more talkative and engaged with the team,
I'm shocked by how quick the pit stop was.
Hey, we're almost
but he can also be vulnerable with them. He compared it to having a family. Oh, and let's not forget, even when he was just a junior driver for the team, they knew he was special. How? Well, according to the McLaren boss, it was when Lando went up against Fernando Alonso in practice and treated it like another day at the office. And for him, that calmness and composure is why he's been able to remain so consistent over the years. As a matter of fact, Brown thinks Norris has at least 10 to 15 years ahead of him in the sport. Plus, if they could give him a competitive car, he could actually become a world champion for them. Oh, and the best thing about him? He can get super serious when it's time to saddle up. But at the same time, he also realizes when it's time to lighten the mood and just have some fun. After all, they are racing cars around a track. Yeah, McLaren really is a Lando Norris fan club, isn't it? But if you thought that was enough praise, then brace yourself for this next claim, because Brown thinks Norris doesn't get enough credit. No, seriously, even after endlessly gushing about his star driver, he still feels like Lando is underrated. Now, this one came directly from the team's official website, where the team boss sat down for another interview. And for him, it's just the fact that the 23-year-old continues to improve every single year. And to be fair, he is right. Like, even from a purely objective standpoint, the Brit's easily one of the best midfield drivers out there. Oh, and if you needed any proof of that, all you gotta do is look at his results from last season. I mean, he was literally the only guy to score a podium apart from the top 3 teams. Not to mention, he's equally fast in quali as he is during races.
Have a good race, guys. Good luck. Happy birthday, Lando. Have a good one.
So, according to Zak Brown, that sort of pace just shouldn't be ignored. But of course, the fact that he doesn't have a championship-winning car that can get him pole positions leads to people not being impressed by his performances. Seriously, just go through the past couple of years. You're gonna struggle to find an instance where he put a foot wrong. Plus, he's always on it when things really start to matter. In fact, Brown even mentioned how they'd be in free practice, collecting data, and the next thing you know, Lando's in Q3 with another world-class lap. I mean, these things do make a driver special. Besides, he's got one very important quality that perhaps most other drivers on the grid lack: zero arrogance. Yep, in spite of the fact that he's one of the hottest young talents out there, Lando still somehow manages to stay humble and keep his feet on the ground. Though, of course, that doesn't mean he's lacking confidence. Oh no, he's got plenty of that. Not to mention, his overall racecraft has also improved massively over the past few years. And all of these things will come in handy when he goes up against his rookie teammate, Oscar Piastri. I mean, even thinking about that prospect is exciting because even though Lando has a ton of experience under his belt, he's still super young. So it's going to be fascinating to see just how well he performs against another fiery talent like him. That being said, even though we're all hyped up to see that matchup, it's not good enough for Norris. Instead, he wants the team to step up its efforts for 2023 and deliver what he truly wants: a competitive car. After all, a driver can only be as good as the ride he's in, right? And if this season's McLaren turns out to be trash, then there's not much he can do in the way of getting results. So for him, recovering from a woeful 2022 and getting on podium positions should be the top priority for the team right now. Of course, it's easier said than done, especially when you're so far behind the competition. But according to Lando, if Ferrari can make that massive jump from 2021 to 22, then they can as well. And to be fair, he's got a point. The new aero regulations are still fresh, and even after a full season, teams still haven't fully grasped them. Plus, I'm sure they've been testing out a bunch of different concepts in the winter break, including the ones used by Red Bull and Ferrari. So catching up is definitely easier than most people imagine. It's still gonna take some time though. In fact, Brown thinks McLaren won't bridge the gap until 2024. Why? Well, it's all about the infrastructure. You see, despite the fact that teams have more or less a similar amount of cash thanks to the budget caps, McLaren is still in a rebuilding phase. For instance, they're still waiting for their wind tunnel to be completed in a couple of years. Not to mention, the team's also investing in newer sim equipment, which is gonna take some time to set up as well. This means that even if they do make significant gains this year, we probably shouldn't expect anything too radical. Then again, it has to at least be good enough for some podiums. After all, Lando's contract expires in 2025, and if the team doesn't show a positive trajectory, then he'll be thinking about moving elsewhere as well. So yeah, the next couple of years are gonna be super crucial for both Norris and McLaren. Alright, that was it for Zak Brown's frustrations with his star driver. See you in the next one.